Hello, everyone. So, thank you again for being with us today. We're very pleased to welcome our next speaker, Rafael Mateu de Ros, a leading figure at the intersection of art, law, and cultural policy. Thanks to the valued support of Instituto Cervantes, we have the pleasure of hosting Rafael today as part of our SAF Talks program. He serves as a member of the art committee of the Fundación María, Cristina, Masaveu, Peterson, where he helps shape strategies that support artistic creation, cultural heritage, and scientific research in Spain. With doctorates both in art history and law, and more than 30 years of experience, he is also a founding partner of Ramón y Cajal Abogados, where he leads the Art, Law, and Cultural Heritage Department. This afternoon, Rafael will take us into the world of collecting with purpose, navigating the legal landscape of art in Spain and the EU. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our speaker, Rafael.
Good afternoon to everybody here, and thank you for this kind invitation. And special thanks to Your Excellence, the Spanish ambassador in Bulgaria, the chairman of the Cervantes Institute, and all their respective teams. So, I'm afraid that my talk is going to be a little more boring than my previous speaker, and not in such perfect English as yours. Okay, so just to remember that the Institute Cervantes it's a public institution that improves and diffuses the Spanish language all over the world. And although we are speaking in English, the Spanish is one of the most spoken languages in the world. So I allow me to encourage to the Bulgarian students, universities and schools to cooperate with the Cervantes Institute for this purpose. So, this is some of the topics we are covering, and we are going to focus on these different modalities, different types of art collecting. I'm talking to plastic arts collections, paintings, sculpture, drawings, etc. Could be public, could be, public, private, institutional, foundation, whatever, and just strictly private or family collection. And this is a list, an inventory of the issues and questions, problems that we, the art lawyers, deal with, let's say, on a day-to-day business. We have to take into account the historical patrimony laws that are enforced in every country, which I tell you later something about the European Union rules on that. Of course, the public policies on culture, that's all they affect to the market. The fact that the work of art, a single painting, a single drawing, whatever, is a movable good, so the transmission from one to the other, the selling, is not as formal many times as it is in many other cases, in general cases. There is no public deed always. There is no register, like it happened with the real estate. So this is a market more open to fraud, forgeries, and other risks that have to be into account by the both sellers and buyers, falsification, authentication, etc. So the requirements of due diligence, I will develop this in this later chart, are very, very relevant in this field. One of these due diligence duty is related to the prevention of AML, anti-money laundering, which is unified through an homogeneous law in all Europe, or the European Union. Then we have these many agents in the world of art. Every agent means a different kind of contract, a different kind of agreement, including the place we are, an art fair. We have this, not new, but let's say alternative or different kinds of property is the intellectual property. Now the fractional property, I mean one work of art which ownership is divided into 2, 3, or even a lot of persons, which can be familiar, but can be investment funds and many other agents. The digital conversion of the work of art through the NFT digital market, and now the artificial intelligence. We'll see later some examples. And one relatively new issue is the restitution. So the buyer, collector, has to foresee the risk of this painting, for instance, come from an illicit provenance. So the risk is that sometimes a third party will claim the recovery, the restitution of some looted or expoliated work of art. This affects particularly to the Nazi seizure of the Jewish collections in the past, but the laws that are in some states, both in Europe and the United States, allow the claimer to ask the restitution even after so many years and many times. So these are the topics we are going to see and we deal with in our law firm, Ramón y Cajal, and in connection with, let's say, the lawyers network in Europe and America, which is called Collection Legal, that you can see in the web of Collection Legal. And there is the list of the lawyers and the main topics we interchange every month in our online meeting. This is the European Union. For us, the Spaniards probably is the best things that have ever happened in our history. And I guess, I hope that it's also for all these Balkanic countries as well. So this is particularly relevant in this moment in the world to be really coordinated. And maybe, I don't know, in the future, the United Kingdom will join us again. We never happen. History, it's just a brief relation of the main highlights in the history of public art, private art collecting. Well, before the 19th century, the collection of art were, I think, related, very connected with the royal collections all over the continents. The church or ecclesiastical collections, and then a little bit later, maybe from the 18th century onwards, the aristocratic collection that appear as a, let's say, a kind of imitation of the royal and church art collections. And I mean, this all inventory, this whole legacy is now in the national state-owned museums in all the Europe main cities and capital. In the 19th century, there is a new concept of cultural patrimony in the sense that the property of these collections is transmitted from the royal properties to the state-owned museums, British, Louvre, Prado, National Gallery of London, MET, and some others. Let's move now to the last century, 20th century, and these first 25 years of the 21st century. A new class, the bourgeois, the professionals, become also art collectors, bankers, collectors, lawyers, medical doctors, architects, I mean the civil society. At the same time that the old collections from the royals and the aristocracy are changing and in some cases are liquidated, there is this new generation of collectors. At the same time, simultaneously, the art market is changing. I mean, it's appearing a real market through galleries, fairs, and several agents, in which class the galleries are obviously in the center. The collecting is not also national, is not also domestic, but it becomes to be more open to the international interchange into different countries. There is some, coming to the second half of the 20th century, there is some movement of agreements and treaties on international basis. Then we, the European, we have some, not many, but some European rules. And there is the big opening on new contemporary art museums. And what happened now? What is now the incentives or the purpose for new collectors? Well, you have the purpose of having the possession of works of art. Even it has been, as you can see in the history, a kind of power demonstration, a power figure. Then you have another purpose in the adventure, I mean the intellectual adventure of an exploration of the private collecting, to live with your works of art. Not only for decoration purposes, but it's more than that. I remember that the German philosopher and art critic, famous Walter Benjamin, he said that the collector in some times is absorbed by the collection itself. It changes even his mood, his or her personality. And then you have the question about investing. About is this something that I can live off it in the future? And what happens when the collector dies? This is one of the questions that the lawyers are dealing with, because we have to structure that and to foresee in advance. The collection, at the end, the purpose of a big collection or even a middle collection is more of the times to become finally public. This transition from the private world to the public world, to a museum, can be done through several means like donation, taxes payment through works of art, on foundations and many others. And probably this is the end, but in the case that the collector, that can be a person or can be a corporation, can want to prevent that the collection goes to public hands, and he wants some sustainability of the collection, there are also some institutions that can provide some formulas for that. For instance, the Foundation, the will agreements. The collector can include in his or her will some preventions for the future of the collection to be together, to be united in some period of time, not every time, I mean not ever, but from time maybe in Spain is 10 years. And familiar agreements with the children, with the heirs, etc. So this is one of the things that we have to see almost every day. So, as I told before, there are some not very many, but you have some legal framework. I mean, I will underline the UNESCO Convention of 1970, which has been amended several times, about the illicit import, export, and transfer of ownership of cultural property. The UNIDROIT Convention, 1995, and going back to the Nazi confiscation, the Washington Principles. What happened? That these principles they have been developed through another rules, but they are not binding. There are a set of recommendation orientations for the state that have signed this principle. Spain is one of them. And so, as far as they are not binding, the complying of this rule is voluntary, is optional for the governments. Germany, of course, Austria, Holland, United Kingdom, United States, they have France. They have specific rules and institutions to facilitate the evolution of this kind of works of art. But others, like Spain, for instance, we have not. So we have to study case by case and say, I mean, if there is a right of devolution or if this right has expired because of the time, etc. Maybe in the future, we have in Spain, let's say, own restitution problems related to the civil Spanish War, not the Second World War, but the Spanish. I will say something about that later on. So, these are some of the rules, excerpt of the European rules related to art. The treaty, the European Treaty, Articles 36 and 37, consecrates the freedom of mobility of any kind of goods into the European system. But there are some exceptions. And one of the exceptions is precisely the works of art. So the states of the European Union retain a lot of, let's say, discretionary power to establish their own rules. I would underline also this relative new regulation about the introduction of and the import of cultural goods outside Europe, and some other rules, not only the European Union, but also I mentioned also at the end the Convention, European Convention on Human Rights and the Strasbourg Tribunal. This tribunal is competent to solve questions connected with property. So there is a way there to go beyond the national jurisdiction and to ask this court to keep, advice and even protections to collector if he thinks, reasonably thinks, that their property has been jeopardized by some internal law of internal decision in the country. There is also another directive that is not mentioned here, but I will mention orally, is the 2022 directive on the unification of the VAT. This is quite important because the VAT affect to every kind of transactions, including art. What this directive says, well, the directive allows the country, it's a general unification of the VAT in Europe, not only art, but it affects also to art transaction. And what Europe says is that the limit threshold is 5%. So you cannot, for instance, in Spain, the books are subject to 4% that wouldn't be able for the works of art. But from 5 to above, the states are sovereign to give to the culture a special space, a special room in the world of the market, or just consider the works of art as a luxury good, so subject to the general rules. What is the situation? In our country, in Spain, the VAT is 21%, but there is some kind of special rule, and this 21% is taxes not the whole price of the piece, but the commissions, the margin of the dealer, gallery, auction house, whatever. And some European countries are taking advantage of this directive to reduce a lot the VAT tax. For instance, in France is now recently 5.5, Italy is 5, Germany is 7. In Spain, we are waiting for the tax authorities to approve some new rules on that. The galleries of art are demanding something between 5 and 10. Now it's 21. I have seen these days that in Bulgaria you have 21, sorry. And in some special goods it's 9%. I don't know if your authorities will go to reduce this 9 to be more approaching to the rest of Europe or not. But this affects directly not only to the galleries, but also to the auction houses, of course, and to the artists, indirectly to the artists, and of course to the collectors, the consumers of art. So, I think all the flags are in there. And what happened about, I was talking before to you about the historical patrimony, historical legacy, historical treasure that they have, and this is, a very good thing, to be protected from free exportation, free movement, even into the customs European space. We can say that there are 3 or even 4 systems within Europe as including United Kingdom. So the Anglo-Saxon bloc, UK, Canada, United States, Malta, and some other country, it's a very liberal system in which there are some limits, but they are, quite flexible about exports, imports. Continental or maybe Central Europe bloc, the sample with France, there are limits. You have to ask the authority for a permission or license to export some kind of goods of an antiquity over 50 or 100 years, depending on the cases and the countries. But then, if the exportation permit is refused, the government has to buy the painting, the sculpture, or whatever. In the third place, we have this, let's say, the South European bloc, in which is Italy, Spain, and some other countries, more strict in the sense that you have to ask for permission, but if the permission is not granted, you don't have the possibility, you have the possibility but not the right to sell this good to the government or to the regional statement or whatever. So this is the worst situation, because if the permit is denied, you can do nothing but to have it, let's say, at home or at the deposit in which the work of art it is. So we are struggling, lobbying to change that and to transmit the general rules of, let's say, France, which is in the middle, to Spain and to Italy. The reason of these Italian and Spanish rules are very restrictive is quite historical. We are countries that have been the treasury, our treasury, several times in history exploited by others, and then the law reaction is to be very restricted. But it's something that should be reviewed in the future. What happened in Germany? Well, Germany is a different state, a different system, in the sense that the Länder, the regional government, or we call in Spain autonomic governments, has in Germany, not in Spain, the whole authority and very flexible, very discretionary power to allow or not the goods of art to be exported outside. So this can be a picture of a very, very synthetic of the system. Challenges, well, there are many. One is this VAT equalization I explained you before. Another big one is to rule the risk and the advantages of the artificial intelligence in our world. Restitution. I think that the artificial intelligence will help will support many of all the investigation that we have to do to say if this good has been stolen in the past or has gone to the illicit commerce through the market, whatever. And, some others, including our fairs, of course. In the case of Spain, the art exportation and under permission, binding permission, when the work of art is over 100 years, not 100 years from the death of the author, but 100 years from the moment in which the work of art was done, which is sometimes very difficult to state and to fix. And in the case of the exportation outside our territory, the year threshold is 50 years old when the good of art is above some amounts of value. What happened in the case that the exportation is done without permit? Well, in that case, happened what sadly happened with this Picasso, very nice painting, young woman, that, well, according to the authorities' opinion that then was ratified by the justice tribunals, this exportation was not licit. The case is very complex because the painting was in a boat, well, and the conclusion is that the owner can be considered as a smuggler, sanctioned as called contrabando, smuggling, and the painting immediately becomes the property of the government, property of the state. And now this painting is in the Museo Reina Sofia, in fact. So, in some other cases, like this painting of Sorolla, which is the main name of the Spanish Impressionism or Post-Impressionism, Naturalisms, to be more certain. The painting had gotten the permission of free exportation within the European Union territory, but the owner didn't buy it because of commercial reason, whatever, the price, whatever, and then in a second chance, 5-6 years later, he asked a new permission, and this new permission was denied. So we submit this to the Supreme Court. This is the STA, Supreme Court sentence in 2022, and we have success in that cassation appeal. But then the Supreme Court sent this affair back to the Tribunal Superior de Justicia, a lower authority, and they also deny the exportation. So the property, the owner was so upset with this that says to us, to the lawyers, okay, I don't want to litigate more. Because this is a little bit happy, a little bit sad. So we will be in Spain and Italy happier if we have something similar to United Kingdom or even to France. That would be better. But it's well how it is now. Well, here you have some list of the toolkits that the collectors have to follow in every transaction. Depending, of course, of the value of the good and the price of the operation. Authenticity, so try to avoid the illicit or illegal provenance. Provenance in the sense of a well-documented history of the good of art, if talking about old masters. Legal title, because sometimes the owner is a co-ownership, or maybe it's an inheritance that is not also divided, so there could be some legal issues there. Of course, valuation and the integrity condition report of the thing. So many things. These two kills for the collector are this reciprocal duties of the seller. Depending on the value, but you have the buyer, the right to ask the seller more than this emotional, I like it, I want to buy it this afternoon. Okay, so be prudent and ask for a complete guarantee from the seller. This is to me, quite important difference between auction houses and gallery sellers. I mean, the auction is like a coal seller. I mean, they are not responsible for any of these things. And they don't give the buyer an advice on the opportunity to buy or not the piece. The galleries have normally this duty, self-duty of joining the buyer in the moment of the buying, in the moment of the operation, and to transmit to him or to her this kind, more or less, but this kind of warnings and warranties. Which is what I am saying now. I mean, there's preventions, duties, obligations of the dealer, whichever it is, particularly the galleries of art. Identification of the customer, this is because of the prevention of the capital laundering. You have to know who is the customer, particularly in the cases if the customer is going to pay from a different account than him or herself. And I want the bill at my name, but I'm going to pay through a company that is in the Virgin Islands, to say something. In these cases, the seller could have a huge responsibility because of the AML rules that are homogeneous in all Europe. So this is quite important. There are some red flags if you see this difference on the accounts or if the customer, if the client is a resident in one tax haven country, there are, the rules imposed to the dealer, to the seller, the obligation to communicate to the Capital Laundering Prevention Authority in each country. And after the deal, the dealer has to retain and to keep safe the documents concerning the operation. They have to educate their people in the gallery on this legal framework. Sometimes they have to communicate to the authorities. That communication prevents the dealer to have any responsibility in the future. This is relatively new, so that's what. This is the circuit of the money laundering. It's nothing that you don't know, and I don't mind if the organization can share to you this presentation so you can see it with time. And many, many new challenges, because I say something before about the work of art that is not registered, is not notarized, etc. It's something movable that I can sell to you Picasso drawing in the moment, just hand to hand. And this is more complicated now because this new kind of, for instance, this famous banana work of art, to say so, I don't know, maybe, why the cards, see the prices. And see not only the prices, but also the places. I mean, it was done by this Italian artist, Catalan, Maurizio Catalan, first in Basel, which is the main contemporary fair in the world in 2019, and now, this year, has been resolved through Sotheby's and see the difference in the price. And what is the work of art? Is this banana with this thing? And then some performance, which is this belongs to the first sale, the Basel sale. This lady and this, I don't know, I'm sure, but I think this is the buyer. The first buyer was this man eating the banana. So the banana, according to Mauricio's instruction, has to be renewed every, I don't know how is the life period of a banana, maybe 7 days. So you are replacing, you are, after paying to Sotheby's and to Mauricio Catalan this amount, you have to replace the bananas many times if you want to have here. Okay, this is art, this is not. Well, it's an object of art because it's sold in the best places in the world. This is Bansky, that I'm sure all of you know, and I don't know if this is going to work. Do you know if this works? It's a video. Is everybody that can help me, please? No? No, we don't have no? Sorry. Well, you see the painting? Well, or drawing? It was going down. I was going to be cutted at the same time that the auction was taking place. Something quite strange. Then you have this sort of misleading or uncertain attributions. Then on my left is the Salvator Mundi attributed to Leonardo da Vinci that was sold by Christie's about 9 years ago at the $450 million plus VAT plus commissions. And it was bought by Arabian check, and we have never seen more the painting. We don't know where is it. I mean, this is a little bit sad. Many scholars think that it's not Leonardo. So maybe in the future, some new scholar, someone that maybe has not been born now, says that it is. In the case of the Caravaggio, this is the famous Caravaggio that appeared in Madrid in 2021 in a particular collection and was going to be sold in a public auction, but was retired and was declared not exportable by the Spanish Ministry of Culture, with a doubt that could be or not a real, original Caravaggio. And under a restoration process that has taken more than 1 year, it was taken in Madrid by Italian experts, it has become a real Caravaggio with a 99.9% of possibilities. Value, internationally, we don't know, but about $200 million could be, 250 something, is the last Caravaggio, called the sleeper, the one that was sleeping for years, for centuries in Madrid. But as far as it is not exportable, the price in the country is less than what? It's a lot. It's about 32.5 million. That was the price in which has been bought by a third particular owner. We will see in the future what happened with him. But it's a Caravaggio. Now we know it's a Caravaggio. Now we don't know if that was Leonardo da Vinci. And that's happened. Less amounts and less not so relevant painters every day. What is going to afford the artificial intelligence to our world? Well, I have a couple of examples. One of these, you can see here how the intelligence artificial production has improved in these last 5 years. At the left hand, you have this portrait of this is a fictional name of Edmond Bellamy, and you can see how, it's a failure, this is a very bad thing. But see this new Rembrandt. This is not a Rembrandt. This has been done by the machine, by the system
of IA, combining hundreds of thousands of painting movements and painting of Rembrandt. And, well, the outcome is not bad. It seems to be it's a forged Rembrandt. It's not a forgery because everybody knows that it's an artificial thing, but it's more or less good. And some other times, this is quite recent, this is the Madonna de Rafael D'Urbino, Rafael Sanzio. This is the original one on the right side, which is in the Dresden National Art Museum, or the Dresden Fine Art Museums. And then on the left was, let's say, a copy that was reported to be let's say a copy, an imitation of the 19th century, whatever, to the original one in a small size. And now, according to some artificial intelligence investigation that has been made recently, the outcome is that it's a real one. It's a replica done by the hands of Rafael, Rafael Atelier, or whatever. So the value has been increased in thousands of times. I said something before about restitution, in the sense that in the old masters, always there is a problem of that Nazi looting, Nazi confiscation, or Libyan archaeological looting, whatever. So this is something to be, and we have in Spain nowadays this affair of this painting by the family Casirer has asked this Pizarro was restituted, was given back to them. And one of the evidence that the family has brought to the tribunals is this photo. That could be enough in some cases, of the Berlin apartments of the Casirers in 1931, 1932, when the Casirers were forced by the Nazi to send by zero compensation to the Gestapo, just to get the passport to go to the United States. So the case, this is the Baron. This is the David Casirer that, and you see that he has in his small apartment in America this copy. It's a photo of the painting, and he is dead now. And this is the Baroness widow with a painting in Madrid. We will see what happened. We have our own small Holocaust painting, Holocaust in Spain. And this is one of the things that we try to achieve in our legal firm, and we have obtained recently the restitution of these two painting right to the owner. And this is good because this painting were in a hotel, it's a Parador de Turismo, one hotel belonging to a network of paradores in Spain. One was in a room, and another one was in the corridor. And now, where are they? In the market? No. They are in the Bilbao Museo de Bellas Artes, Fine Arts Museum, in a, long time loan from the family. So it's a win-to-win. And let's say something, we have time, some 5 minutes about this Masaveu collections that I am in some way representing here before all of you. There are two different collections. One is the corporation collection, this the one that I am talking about now, and there is the foundation. It's a familiar foundation. The foundation belongs to the family in some way, and the corporation belongs to the family, but they are parallel institutions. The foundation does not depend on the corporation. It's a free and independent foundation, and the foundation has its own collection of contemporary art and particularly photography. It's one of the best photography collection in the country. And the corporate or corporation collection is the historical one that goes, as you can see there, I don't know if you can see that clear, from the end of 19th century, with all these generations, 5 generations, 6, depending on what you're including the Masaveu living today, which is a very particular change. For instance, the Thyssen-Bornemisza collection is only 2 generations. Many other collections, it's quite difficult for a private collection to surpass, to overcome more than 2, some cases 3 generations. In this case are 6, maybe more in the future. And then the foundation, beyond their own collection, is also the manager of the corporate collection. So it's a nice structure. As far as the foundation is the main shareholder of the corporation, we have, the guarantee of the dividends, if the business goes well, to maintain even to increase both collections, historical and contemporary collection. The collection is the owner of a really relevant old master. You can see many of them, or some of them, is more than 1,500 pieces, and all this could be in the public museum, which is the conflict between the private, again, and the public. Well, there is not. This is private collection, but this is a collection that is not going to be sold, is not going to be divided, and is normally, repeatedly exposed to the public. So it's not a secret, it's not a hidden thing. It's a public thing in the sense that it has this public visibility. You have everything here, Gothic, Renaissance, Bosco, Greco, many pieces that, well, I'm sorry because of the photo doesn't reveal the importance of these pieces. Every one of these pieces has been shown in Madrid, in Oviedo, in Granada, Seville, Valencia, and many other places of the country, and even in Lisbon. There was a big exhibition in Lisbon, Portugal, some years ago. And I think all of them were there. One of the main highlights of the collection is the steel works. We call in Spanish, in Spain, bodegón, things related to the cooking and the things of nature. And this is one of the best. And many of these pieces has been recovered to Spain. They were outside of Spain. They were in auctions. They were in foreign collectors, and when they went to an auction, the Masaveu family was ready, if they have enough liquidity for that, to buy and to take back to Spain. So this is something that is not incentive by the legislation, but is a very good thing. Then you have many works of this impressionist Spanish Valencian artist, Sorolla, which is a good example of the naturalism. And then, which will be probably more interesting for you, is the post-war and modern art. You can see from left to right, above, Joan Miró, then another Joan Miró, one of the latest Picassos. This is Jacqueline, the Picasso latest partner. And Picasso was so fast painting that if you see, you see there the date in which he made this painting. Put this
I mean, he was honest in the says, I mean, I have done this in all 24 hours, less than 24 hours. Then you have a Dalí and Antonio Lopez. Who is Antonio Lopez? He's a kind of, he's still alive, fortunately. He's a kind of hyper-realistic painter, but with some particular mood, some particular way of painting as well. And I will take your attention, I will draw your attention to this small piece, I mean the first left, which is made on copper. It's not canvas, it's oil on copper, by Picasso in 1936, which is the year in which the civil Spanish War started. The name is the Catalan Paysan au repos in French. Sorry? No, yes, it's this one. I'm talking about this one. Oh, sorry. Picasso is that one. This is Miro. This is Miro. Okay, I am out of the focus, but it is important. This is a good example of surrealism. Surrealism, we think sometimes that means something, let's say, the dreams, kind of dreaming painting, inconscious painting. It's not. In the French word, surrealist is supra-realist, is something above the reality. Or, in other terms, it's a different way to explain the reality. It's not against realistic. It's a kind of realism painting. And you say, paysan Catalan is like a Catalan peasant, Catalan countryman. And what is the countryman? We'll try to explain to you, just to finish. The Catalan paysan is this thing here. This is a man. You see the hands, breasts, the legs, even genitals, and this is the face. And this is the porron. This is the wine. You see. This thing is a horse prehistorical, I mean, kind of very, very strange form, but it's a horse. This is the plane, the things that the countryman has been labored in the fields, and then the mountains and the sky. This is very small piece that belonged to a quite important collection, which was Douglas Cooper. Douglas Cooper was a friend of Picasso, and Douglas was in fact a partner of John Richardson, which is the main Picasso collectors in the beginning, and it went to an international auction, I think in New York, and was bought by Pedro Masaveu Peterson. And 1936, au repos, the paysan Catalan, au repos means in Catalan resting. What is resting? What is the meaning of this? Well, we don't know exactly, but probably it's a metaphoric image of the own Miro escaping, fleeing from Spain to France in these days, because he was menaced and he went out to Spain. And this one is, for us, a very, very relevant painting. I think the last one, you see below this painting by Braque, the other father of the Cubism with Picasso, and above, two paintings by Miquel Barceló. Barceló is one of the more prestigious painters, living paintings in our country, and one of the paintings is a consequence, an outcome of his staying in Mali, in Africa,
some years ago when he was younger. He's now about 70 years old. And then is a bullfight ring, which is a series of them. So, and this, we are in 2010 approximately, is the final, the end of the historical collection, and then the beginning of the Foundation Contemporary Art Collection that will be maybe the contents of a future conference on this. And just to finalize, I want to thank again to the Sofia Art Fair and encourage you, the fair organizers, the collectors, galleries, to go ahead. In 1982, so many years ago, was the starting year of ARCO. ARCO is the contemporary fair art in Madrid. It has got last year more than 100,000 visitors, almost 300 galleries of all over Europe and Latin America, particularly many of Latin America, and it has been a great success for us. And I hope Sofia Art Fair will become something similar in the coming years. So thank you very much. Is there any question? No? Yeah? Juan Carlos? This is going to be easy or not?
First of all, thank you very much for the lecture. I think that it was very profitable for all of us. And I wanted to ask, or to refer me to a couple of questions. First, which is the structure, which is the general scope of the Masaveu Foundation? If you have the Masaveu Foundation has a museum in Madrid and has other buildings where in Asturias and in I don't remember exactly, Salamanca, in a little town of Salamanca. The second one could be, which is the structure of the collection? How many curators you have, or who is taking the decision about the purchasing of work art, etc.? And the third one is very important, which is the annual budget for purchasing that foundation has, and which is the scope of, if it's possible, if it's privacy, okay, I don't care about. No? Okay.
Let's start by the third one, Juan Carlos, the budget. I mean, we have a public budget as every foundation, and it's about, for acquisitions, is about €1.5 million each year. And in fact, I didn't say it before, this private collection is completely private. There are no any subsidies or whatever. Is the main private buyer in ARCO. So this is a connection of expositions, fairs, and private collectors. Another figures, another politics are private, and forgive me, I can't explain it. The other one was the premises. Okay, there is let's say a building in Madrid, in the center of the town, very close to the Colón place, and Calle Alcalá Galiana, in which the exhibitions go one after the other all the time. Now it's the 20th century, then it's going to come a photograph exhibition, the steel works were in the past, etc. Then there is the historical house, really it's a palace, close to Oviedo, in a place called Siero,
Palacio de Evia, in which this is the building in which is deposit the bibliography collection that I didn't mention before. It's also one of the best in the country. And then it's in the country, in Salamanca, in a small village called Moras Verdes. There is a collection, a permanent exhibition of the Foundation collection about the link between art and nature. It's in the middle of the forest, it's in the middle of it. These are the premises. And which was the second one? Your second?
I asked about the structure of...
Okay, the structure... Yeah, the structure is small. I mean, this collection has been granted by the austerity of all these members of this generation. They don't give any kind of public interviews, whatever, no filming, no. I mean, this is one of the few occasions in which we talk about the collection. Not in the university. In the university we do a lot, and the structure is quite small. For instance, asking to your question, it's not a permanent curator. The curators are hired case by case, exhibition by exhibition. Is that what you wanted to? Okay, thank you. Another one? Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Since you're specialized in art and law, I was curious about the general European situation about reproduction rights of art collections, public collections, to be more specific, and if there is a general legal framework, or if you think there should be, if there's not.
Are you a lawyer?
No.
Okay, thanks for the question. Well, I mean, we have to, the lawyers or advisors of the private collections, we have to take into account two different fields of law. One is all these general frames that you have seen, and then there is a lot of private rules. So both the corporation and the foundation, each other, have their bylaws, statutes, and articles of regulation. And for instance, in the corporate bylaws, the corporate is a normal corporate. It's a sociedad anónima, société anonyme, is the model of the capital company in whole continental Europe. UK is a little bit different. And in these bylaws, you can include, if the shareholders are agreed on that, in this case it's a non-quoted company, it's not public, it's a private company, and the shareholders are familiars. In all the families are conflicts, but in this case, I think the things go reasonable well. So you can include in this statute some rules, private rules, to protect the collection. So that depends on you. That is legal, and some collectors, which are also private, that they don't want to do that because it's a little bit rigid for the future. But if you want, you can say that this asset is not a normal asset of the company, but an essential asset that can't be sold unless some circumstances arise, that can be lended safe, I mean, only according to the policy rules of lending, etc. I don't know if that's what you wanted to know. Okay. No? Okay. You can say to me privately. Okay. Any other? You, please.
Okay, before you told that one of the goals of the foundation is to recover some of the arts and bring them back to Spain. So I would like to know which ones are the criteria, which work do you bring back to Spain, if it's like a specific kind of style or is by any specific artist, and how do you find the auctions? For example, you told that one of them was recovered like from an auction in Christie's, that is one of the auction houses. So I would be interested on how do you manage all this work to recover the works of art and bring back to Spain. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. This is a very good question. And look, here you have this bracket, so there is no only. You have to finish. Yeah, the last one. Okay. Not only Spanish work recovery, but also international works. But I mean, we have checked that when in an auction in London, New York, or whatever, there were pieces like the Prague or Venedig, French, German, whatever, British, and the Spanish heritage, old masters, but also new masters like Miro. Masaveu Peterson always choose the Spanish one. So he has this determination depending on the money, of course, and not always was successful. I remember, I don't remember, but I have been told that in one occasion he tried to buy one wonderful self-portrait of Picasso. He couldn't. This self-portrait was bought by Niarchos, Sephra Niarchos, the shipper of Grecian, and now is on deposit in Berna Museum of Art. So, but his intention was to recover as much as he could. Okay? So, I think we have to finish. Thank you.